Okay, sorry for the delay, folks. We've been off for 3 weeks, so a lot of things piled up. But we are just reconvening from closed session where direction was given and no action was taken. Will you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Stands one nation. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved.
Second.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Okay, moving on to presentations and proclamations. Art wall presentation by the Rainforest Art Project.
Mayor Reynolds, we will be postponing this presentation to the next council meeting. The presenter has fallen ill.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to public communications. This is the time for the public to communicate with us for non-agenda items. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers?
Mayor Reynolds, our first speaker is Don Blake.
I gave you a copy of email communications I had with Ms. Bergstrom last week, where she advised that the city may learn the status of the ERF grant application sometime this month, which at least will be one thing. But she also advised that the city did not make a grant request for HHAP funds, grants, which suggests, based on the information provided from the city records, that there may be a $500,000 hole in the revenue base for Mission Esperanza. So that's just one more reason why I'm suggesting that the council set the matter.
Mr. Blake, I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir, but could you speak into the microphone
Sure,
so
sorry.
the folks at home can hear?
That there may be a $500,000 hole in the revenue for Mission Esperanza, which is one reason I'm suggesting this council set the matter for a public hearing where the folks from Oroville Rescue Mission can come in and explain what it is they are actually looking for, where the funding's coming from, and how the project's going to work. I further submit respectfully that if the management of the Oroville Rescue Mission want to change their business model from a donor-supported, faith-based recovery and support model to a government-paid-for secular babysitting service, that's their business. But I don't think it should be the obligation of the city of Oroville to help fund it. Those are my comments.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stephanie Irish.
Evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. I'm just here to say we need to slow down on the Facebook. Everybody needs to slow down. I was accused of something I didn't need to be accused of, and we need to stop. If you have facts, let's put the facts out there. This is hurting families. It is hurting the people running. So I'm going to put it out there right now as for myself. Unless it's facts and you can prove it, don't put it out there. And I'll do the same. Thanks.
Our next speaker is Brandon Theodore.
Mayor, Council. Well, it's that time again. Slander Bowl 2022 is coming around. As you can see, Facebook is taking over. We got people in this town accusing Mr. Smith here of moving to another district just to stay in council. No facts, no nothing. I hear it from so-and-so. I'm here to say it needs to stop. If you can't promote your policies or whatever, talk about how you can better Oroville, you don't need to be running. We got a mayor now here who's getting his cars thrashed, and I haven't seen one person from this council or anybody that works in the city condone those actions. That, to me, does not show integrity for our city. That shows cowardice. Okay? Little story. I didn't agree with the mayor at first when he ran. I caught him running a red light. I posted it on Facebook. But guess what? I now know him on a personal level. I know his sister, and I was totally wrong. I made an assumption. People need to stop listening to Facebook, and you guys need to start talking to these candidates personally. And I hope everybody on this council can condone the actions of those people who have violated the mayor's cars. I've seen signs thrown at the dump. If that was Mr. Pittman's sign over here, I guarantee you people would be up in arms saying, yakety yak, don't talk back. So with that being said, let's run a clean campaign, and let's run off our policies. How are we going to make Oroville better? How can we promote people to come to this town? Because right now, people aren't coming far and wide to say, hey, let's go to Oroville to eat at all the fast food joints they have. We need to promote this town for the beauty of it. And that's all I got to say. I'm going fishing.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bill Spear.
I can comment on that red light. The funny part about it is I was actually late for church.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council, I also would like to speak on some of the posts, the anti-social. On my social media, there's this post I'd like to share. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies and do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you and pray for those who mistreat you. As our president, I want to pray for him, gave his speech, it was a lot of hatred, and I guess I'm part of the enemy who he was talking about because I'm a conservative, and anyways, I contemplated on it, I kind of have a lot of the same feelings, on the other side. The abortion issue gets me pretty emotional because babies are being brutally murdered in our country. And I can see how people can get all heated on their side. But according to my social media post, it says we're to pray for those who mistreat you and those who persecute you. And so I'm going to pray for myself, and I'm going to pray for our president. I'm going to pray for you guys. So Father God, start with me. Help me get the plank out of my eye. Help me to bless those who are cursing, to not get caught up in the world and acting like the world. And let me stay in positive social media, not antisocial. And I pray for our president. It says to pray for the leaders, and I pray that you would help him to see and not to curse half of the country. That we would see that we are one country. Abraham Lincoln said, "A house divided," which he quoted out of the Bible, "a house divided cannot stand." And it was right before the terrible Civil War, and so I pray that we would calm down the rhetoric for our people that are running for office in our city. I pray that you would bless them, and that we would see that we're all in the same city, and that we would all lift each other up instead of tear each other down. I believe that everyone running for office is wanting to serve with a good motives, and so let us not hear all the noise. Let's hear your voice. We pray your kingdom come, your will be done. We pray for all those who give, all those who serve, all those who lay their lives down. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Our next speaker is the cameraman. And that is the last of the non-agenda item speakers.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something because there was a few comments on a particular item. We're all members of this community, and we all have, for whatever reason, we've decided to step up and serve our community. There's been some speculation that we make a lot of money doing this, and I think I get 500 and council members get 400 or whatever. It's you know, it's ridiculous. We do it because we love our community. We're not doing it to get rich, believe me. Some of us have watched our community for generations, and we just want to be a part of it. It's not. Social media can be I was interviewed by the news the other day. It can be a really useful tool. It can really help people, or it can be a really vicious weapon. And we need to be careful of how we use it, because you just see me up here and you know, this bully guy, big old bricklayer. Hey, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a brother. All of these things. There's you know, and we all have those relationships. There's people in our lives that either love us right now or loved us at some time, you know. So I just ask you to consider that when you're posting your things. Anyway. I'm not going to get into a big thing here. I'm just letting you know that it's not a good approach. I'll tell you, affecting the public. We've been trying to get a police chief for how long? We got people that won't come to work here because of the imbalance or the unbalance of council and, you know, what's going on. So, because people don't want to come here, that people that are level-headed and professionals, they don't want to come here into a bunch of infighting, because it's their jobs that are on the line for people to play games. So I'm telling you, please, let's be sensible and reasonable so we can attract sensible and reasonable people. Thank you. All right, moving on to the consent calendar. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the.
Mr. Mayor, I would respectfully request to remove item number 7 and hear it separately.
Okay, Councilmember Pittman?
Yeah, I just have on the consent item, on the vac truck, just a question, if I may. What are we going to do with the old one? Or is there a plan, or is that just a replacement of a brand-new equipment?
The old one is being reserved for backup.
Okay.
For now. We were considering putting it in the next auction.
Okay, thank you. That's all the question I had.
Looking for a motion to adopt the consent calendar, pulling item number 7.
Moved?
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Mr. Legron, you pulled item number 7 for the consent calendar. Do you wish to comment, sir?
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that Councilperson Smith recuse himself from this item. The purpose for that is this directly impacts his employment.
Yes. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak on this item beyond it being on consent calendar?
Mr. Mayor, I do not have any speakers on this item.
Do we have any comments from this dais? Having none, looking for a motion to adopt item number 7.
So moved.
Motion carries with 5 yeses, 1 absent, and 1 abstention, 1 recused.
Okay, moving on to regular business. Item number 8, add funds to agreement for professional services with Jennifer Arbuckle Consulting for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Thank you, Mayor Reynolds and council members. Yes, this is a request for council to consider a budget adjustment to add funds for the professional services agreement with Jennifer Arbuckle Consulting. She has been our grants management and SB 1383 consultant, and this is the mandates that come down from CalRecycle. Jennifer's services have proven to be very valuable since we have entered into agreement with her October 2021, and she has helped and guided us through the adoption of the ordinance for SB 1383. Education to our commercial businesses. She's provided stakeholder engagement and marketing as well as support for the community. So with that, she will also be providing a smooth transition for the newly hired recycling coordinator. We anticipate 6 months to a year, depending on the trainings and the added information that comes down from CalRecycle. So with that, staff would like to request the budget adjustment from the Public Works General Fund in the amount of $114,000, or not to exceed $114,000 for the duration of the year. We do not anticipate that it will meet that, but should it come to that, we have the funds there and available, but we could disencumber if the funds are not needed.
Do we have any comments from the public on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I do not have any speakers on this item.
Councilmember Hadley?
Yes, thank you. This coming out of the general fund,
It is. It's coming out of the Public Works General Fund.
Public Works? Okay. And how much money is in that?
I don't have the current balance. This fiscal impact was missed in the review of the staff report in our Muni Code process. So we'll provide that a current balance. I can get that for you. But I don't have it at this point, no.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilmember Pippin?
Yeah, I think my comment to the public is we're being forced under SB 1383 to do some very drastic things coming forward. You're talking about 3 cans, we're talking about weekly pickup, we're talking a whole bunch of things. So I just warn the public to pay attention to this. This is not anything that none of us in this room would have voted for, but we're stuck with it. It's a state law, it's hammering down on us, and it's going to impose penalties if we don't follow it. So you're going to hear a lot of things in the near future about this particular topic, and it's not a good thing. I just have to say that, just to be aware. So I appreciate staff's bringing us forward with, we have to hire a new employee to be our, what was the title?
Recycling coordinator.
Recycling coordinator. That's required by the state. And then this staff consultant to help bring us along and meet the conformance of the new requirements under SB 1383. So I just say get ready for the ride. It's awful. Just that is. It's that simple. Thank you.
Any other questions? Looking for a motion to consider adding funds to the professional services agreement with Jennifer Arbuckle Consulting for grant management and SB 1383 compliance in an amount not to exceed $9,500 per month through fiscal year 22-23.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Item number 9, purchase of TruNarc testing, 2 TruNarc testing devices.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. What you have before you for your consideration is the purchase of a couple devices that, for lack of a better term, they're a small laser type of device that presumptively test substances that are suspected to be illegal narcotics. The law enforcement has changed over the last 20 plus years where how the testing of this suspected substances are done. They were once done through a chemical analysis where you would take a small portion after weighing it, put it into a couple dishes, add a couple different varying chemicals to it, and then it would turn a certain color, and that would tell you something. When it turned one color, that would tell you, okay, now I need to do this test, so it would turn another color. So it will tell me whether it's an amphetamine, it's methamphetamine, it's cocaine, it's heroin, whatever it was. You go through this. Well, over the course of time, we've learned that those chemicals that we were using were hazardous materials that we were exposing ourselves to on a daily basis, unfortunately, because of the prevalence of the narcotics. So that changed to another small iteration of that, where you would take a small amount again, open up a plastic pouch, drop it inside, close it, squeeze it, and then it would turn another color again, because we work on colors. Our vision is based on colors and movement, apparently. So we would do that. It would turn a certain color, and that would tell us something, what this substance was. And then when we were done with that, we would take that and chuck it in the garbage. Well, we found out over the course of time that's also hazardous waste that we are putting into the landfill. So that practice had to stop as well. Then now with the prevalence of fentanyl and the high level of dangerous exposure to that officers are, and individuals and anybody that comes into contact with it, we now no longer even open up anything that we find. If we look at it, we suspect it's methamphetamine or cocaine or whatever we suspect it may be. It's just now left in whatever the packaging is. It's put inside of another envelope. It's sealed. It's not handled. It's not touched. It's not done anything with. What the True Narc device will do for us is we're able to take this True Narc device, shine it onto this or point it to this substance that we suspect what it is, and it will analyze what is inside of that plastic container, whatever the container is, and tell us what it is. And once it does this analysis, it will give us its findings, and that is something that will be accepted by the district attorney's office as a presumptive positive for what we suspect may be in there. It protects your officers, it protects the community, and it doesn't create any sort of hazardous material or waste along the way as we do this. So these devices are very expensive. There's not many of them in Butte County. Right now, I understand there's two. Is my understanding, in all of Butte County. We were purchasing two. One would be the hope that, or we are hoping to purchase two. One would be available to be taken to a scene so that an analysis of whatever the suspected material is there, that we're collecting, we'll know what it is, and we'll be able to package it and deal with it there. The other one will be held in reserve in our evidence system. Now, these are both very expensive. They come with 1-year warranties on them. They also come with training for 12 officers. The purchase price for these two items are $51,490. It's a proprietary item that is a sole source, so we will be purchasing it, if authorized by the council, from the True Narc company, and they will be sending someone to train our officers on that. The monies for this will be coming out of our asset forfeiture fund. This money is specifically generated from the forfeiture of assets from those that are involved in illegal activities, whether it be drug dealing or whatever it may be. We've managed to collect their money to the tune of $157,397, and we'd like authorization from the council to expend $51,490 to purchase these True Narc devices.
Madam Clerk, do we have anyone from the public on this?
Mr. Mayor, I do not have any speakers on this item.
Well, I'd like to say now, I watched Beretta and Starsky and Hutch, and you take your pocket knife and you stick it in the bag, and you stick your finger in there, and then you lick it.
Yeah. And you go and you say pure H.
Pure horse.
Yeah. 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 Or is that true?
Then you take a few days off.
We're really going back into the day then. I mean, so.
Councilmember Pittman, please.
Thank you. I understand the new device. I'm in total support of it. My question is, do we have an annual recertification, software update, subscription service? I'm just looking at future costs to make sure the device is valid, and is that an annual thing or whatever the case may be?
I would imagine that there is going to be, I do not have we do not have to retrain every year on this, and we do not have to send our people out or anything like that. As new officers come in, of course, we will have to train them on that. Part of the idea of this is to train the trainer.
Right.
That way we have people in-house that can train on that. I am 100% confident at some point we will have to have these things recertified, recalibrated, and tested. I mean, to verify that the presumptive test that we are getting. I do not know what the cost of that is, Councilman Pittman.
Well, I just want to have a heads
Yeah.
up to that idea.
No, it's similar to PAS, the preliminary alcohol screening devices and things like that. They have to be recalibrated and certified.
Good, thank you.
Councilmember Smith?
Yeah, so Chief, just your opinion, do you feel that this tool will add to public safety in that we'll see more people perhaps move through behavioral health or programs, that there'll be more success in that arena, and just in general public safety with this tool being afforded to your department?
I think that what you'll see is an increased level of safety for your officers that have exposure to these things. I mean, so that it doesn't have to be handled as much, I mean, as what we're currently handling it. It gives us a better tool to do that to ensure their safety. I'm not so sure that it's really going to impact rehabilitative services. I do know that there is hesitance now because of fentanyl. Quite honestly, it's scary. I mean, when you don't know what you're dealing with, and, a grain of it can kill you and things like that. So the reluctance that may exist among your officers now to work with something like that will probably be lessened with something like this, when you can tell that, hey, it's not fentanyl or anything else. It's just I shouldn't say it's methamphetamine. I mean, which is, to me, that was a normal part of my career now. But to engage with people who are using fentanyl, that's their drug of choice, and they have that with them, that concerns me. I don't want to lose my life because of your addiction.
Thank you.
Well, I, for one, I don't think we can put a price on the safety of our officers, and that they're out there on the front lines and do an incredible job. And I think that anything that we can do to help them be safer and move forward with technology, and I'm also very happy that we have the fiscal responsibility to have that money in an account that will pay for it. So thank you very much, Chief Legrone. If there are no more comments, I'm looking for a motion to authorize the purchase of 2 TrueNarc handheld narcotic analyzers with 1-year warranty and training.
So moved.
Who's second?
Councilman Hatley made the motion.
Second.
One second, okay. Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Well, then on item number 10, purchase of 50 APX 8500 portable vehicle radios and equipment plus software to encrypt radios to meet current DOJ requirements.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is, I do not like this topic, and the reason why I don't like this topic is because these radios just infuriate me with the cost of what they are. Less than 10 years ago, one of the first things that I was tasked with when I became a lieutenant at the police department, which was in 2008 or 9, one of my first tasks was to upgrade the infrastructure to get rid of the old repeaters that we had. So we upgraded that, and we put in voter receivers, and we did it all over town, and we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. I remember coming to a council, we were $70,000 short, and in those days, $70,000 might as well have been $1 million. But we had no choice. So we did that. Well, here I am now in 2022, letting you know that all of that equipment is obsolete. It is failing on a regular basis. I can tell you that I've worked patrol a significant amount over the last month, and our radios are absolutely horrible. You go 1 minute, you hear nothing, and then the next minute, something's going on, then it's so staticky, it's just terrible. And what it is it's just old, obsolete equipment that is not covering the area the way that it should have or used to. So as we've been addressing this issue and over time, what we've looked at is moving off of our own infrastructure and joining the infrastructure of Butte County, which everyone else is currently on. If we do that, there'll be an annual buy-in cost. It's about $20,000 a year that will pay for that, for the maintenance and the upkeep of the system. But we will be on to that system. Once we move on to that system, the beauty of that is that my radio will now not only just work when I'm in the city of Oroville, I can travel anywhere in the county where the net is, and we will be able to communicate through that back to Oroville or wherever it is. I can share just a real brief story with you where one evening, I don't know, 15 years ago, we were in a vehicle pursuit. The pursuit started in Oroville, and it went all the way to Quincy. I mean, it was a long pursuit. I can't remember the detail of why we were chasing him. I just know we were. And the reality is we ended up chasing him there. We had to move across 3 different radio frequencies. And when you're doing something like that, you're rolling, what is it called, code 3, you're rolling code, chasing someone, you're giving out information, you're trying to communicate with other officers, other agencies. And as a sergeant, what I'm doing is I'm jumping onto other frequencies, getting permission to use their frequency because I can't communicate with my own dispatch. I have to do that with the county. So by joining a network such as this, we will be able to do that seamlessly, and we'll be able to communicate with our own dispatch center, which will also be notifying the surrounding agencies. So in order to do that, what we need to do is we have to upgrade the radios that are in the cars. Currently, our handhelds that we carry have already been upgraded. One of the positive outcomes of the campfire, if there is such a thing, and I'm not minimizing anyone's loss or anything, but we did gain some very good radios that we were able to purchase from Cal OES from that terrible situation. So we were fortunate. These radios are compliant and will work with the system that we're suggesting that we move to. The new radios that we have are car radios. It will go into the vehicles, and they will make us interoperable with that new system and upgrade and we'll be able to get us off of our failing infrastructure that we have now. So we need to move to that and get that part done. The additional $70,000 that's included in here, believe it or not, is for encryption and reprogramming and software for the radios to ensure that we are DOJ compliant and that we have the proper encryptions and things in our radios. So what we're looking for from the council is direction on purchasing these new radios, getting these radios installed in all of our patrol vehicles, all of our MLE vehicles, every vehicle that has a radio in it, and also purchasing the additional software and encryption tools so that we can encrypt our radios and get them up to where they should be so that we can join this new radio system.
Are there any comments from the public on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I have one speaker, the cameraman.
Good evening, Oroville City Council. Boy, this is a subject that, I relate to a lot on this issue, especially with cost. I mean, like our chief just said, 20 years ago, this was high-tech stuff, and we spent a lot of money to get it. Now it's all obsolete. Now I'm facing a bit of a similar problem as well. I have scanners too. I need equipment to listen to you guys, do your job and, decide whether or not I need to get on that bike or the bus or car or whatever means of getting there, whether it be even parachute or, how I get there to get to the scene. I need that equipment. About five years ago, the equipment I have is good. Now I'm facing the same problem. I need to upgrade as well. Everything's getting digital. Can't be relying on analog anymore. Now my concern is when I see encryption, well, how far is the encryption going to go? I've been down in Orange County, Los Angeles, and that was a county at one point where, everything was, in Orange County anyways, there's no law enforcement. You can't listen to anything. LA, pretty good, but the majority of these beach cities a few years ago spent about a couple $1 million to encrypt everything. And, you can barely, pretty much unless you're going to listen to Los Angeles City Police, you can't listen to anything. So before I go and spend out, about close to $1,200 to go get new scanners and equipment, I'm wondering if it's going to be worth it or if this is going to be encryption to where, we're not going to be able to hear anything. I think the public, especially in this county, we need to be able to listen to dispatch. I mean, this is, at some parts of this this county, the city, literally, you know, you can't get a bar of signal for reception on your phone, but you can still hear on your scanner clear as day. And, you know, you need that to be informed. And, you know, I understand, you know, in this day and age now where, you know, with the way law enforcement has changed, you know, there may be a need for encryption on certain situations, but I think that should be reserved for more tactical channels. But as far as I'm aware, you know, our chief can correct me if I'm wrong, the only encryption we have right now is there's one repeater because, like you said, you know, the signal, you know, in some parts of the city is just really bad. And the only way for our officers to effectively work and communicate is they got to go through this repeater, and it's an encrypted repeater. So for those who listen to Oroville police, you know, they be quiet, and then you hear that. Well, that's the encrypted repeater. And if that's just the encryption we're going to keep with, I'm fine with that. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that is the only speaker on this item.
Thank you. You know, there was a situation today with the officers where there's a group of officers that they're trying to reach, and the call goes out. Only some of the officers got the call, and that's pretty scary when you think about it. You know, thank goodness it was a situation where nobody was in immediate harm, but you don't know, you have an armed assailant, and they're saying, you know, situations, whatever, and only half of these people get the call, and they run into the middle of something that they weren't prepared for. So again, I think that's what this money is for, and I'm all for equipping our first responders with whatever they need. Councilmember Pittman?
Yeah, thank you. You know, the AT&T support of those old lease lines has just been diminishing for actually now decades. So essentially the new system, does that rely on any lease lines at all?
No, the new system will work over fiber optics.
Okay. And then there's a mention here about another tower. Do we need to put another tower up, or is the cemetery one good enough?
No, sir, we'll be joining, all of our locations will still be operative as best they are, but we'll be joining a larger net. I mean,
Okay.
there'll be no need for an additional tower if we join this new system.
Gotcha. So the cemetery one is still valid and very useful.
Right, and that will still be working. The issue with that is you know, is that we have that bunker out that way that floods and the copper lines become an issue. And
Right.
so it'll be as effective as it can be, considering the circumstance.
And do we still have the SO was, I believe, installed in that particular bunker? or
There's a couple different agencies that
Yeah.
actually use that one. We've also moved on to the levee, onto
Okay.
that tower, so we've tried to do the best with what we had.
We have good coverage then. That's good to hear. All right. And the lease lines, I can go back a long history of difficulty with those. And it's pretty clear that AT&T is not even supporting that anymore. Yeah. Thank you. Good idea.
Councilmember Smith?
I should have seen this coming when I did the ride-along. I experienced firsthand your frustration with communication. And so just to go along with the sentiments of our mayor, you know, absolutely it's a public safety issue. And so I'm fully supporting this, definitely. And we want to end your frustration.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Anyone else from the dais? Having no one, looking for a motion to authorize the police department to purchase 50 APX 8500 Motorola radios and all necessary equipment and software for radios in an amount not to exceed $571,245.10 as outlined in the attached quotes.
I'll second.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Thank you, council.
And with that, we will move on to reports, discussions, and correspondence. Are there any announcements from this council? Councilmember Riggs?
Thank you. I just wanted to inform the council and the public again that the Miners Alley Progress Celebration is this Friday at 5:30 to 7:30, and that'll be primarily on Miners Alley and Myers Street on both sides there. So I invite you all to attend.
it should be a good time. We'll be hearing the history of the alley along with some of the, an overview of the project that has been done thus far and what's to come for the alley. Second thing I was asked to share was the Downtown Business Association is hosting their annual Farm to Table dinner on October 1st. That's a fundraiser for other activities of the Business Association. So they wanted me to inform you all that we would love for you to attend. You can find out more information on the Downtown Oroville website. That is personally one of my favorite community events. It really is lovely, features local music, local farms, and is hosted on the street on Myers between Bird and Robinson, underneath the State Theater lights.
When is that?
That's October 1st.
Oh, okay.
So you can find out all of the information on the Downtown Oroville website, but we'd love to see everyone there.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith?
I'd like to thank Jordan Crossing for putting up the September 24th banners for our Salmon Festival. Thank you for getting those up around the downtown area. Really appreciate that. So that's a reminder, it's coming up quick, and it's going to be just a great event. I just briefly want to touch on something that during public comments about my alleged move. It's not alleged, I did move. Just I wanted to clear that up. And just real quick, just to speak to that, when I first moved to Butte County, my wife and I, we purchased land. We had a 5-acre parcel. We also had an 11, just short of 12 acres. We had livestock in both those locations. However, to make a long story short, part of our frustration was with wildfire. As you can well imagine, being evacuated multiple times, we thought it best to move into the city limits, thinking that we'd be safer, although that's questionable at this point. But in living on property, we enjoyed livestock, as I mentioned. And so recently a piece of property came available with 2 homes on it. And on our 11.5 acre, we had 2 homes as well. This would also help for the future of my in-laws potentially, that, you know, they're approaching their 80s. So just thinking our own family interest. And then also I still have a goat. And so we purchased this property in the north part of town, and I brought my goat back to be reunited with the family. She made an unscheduled visit to my neighbor. He was not appreciative of that. Goats do stuff. But anyway, so we're just enjoying that opportunity to have some space in the property. And also just, I think, appreciating some of the concerns that some of the constituents have raised about future annexations, animals, livestock. I'm your guy. I'm going to stick up for those rights. And of course, I am zoned appropriately to have a goat. I did check. But just to put to bed, I think, any rumors or discussion, it is true. We purchased a property, and we're enjoying that. Thank you.
If I may just add to that.
Vice Mayor Thompson.
Thank you. Even if you did move to be on council, there is nothing illegal or nefarious about that. Am I correct, right? Somebody can move into a district if they want to be on council. There's nothing, I understand, I believe 100% what you said, but even if the accusation was that you moved there because you want to be on council, I had no problem with that. You're an excellent council member, and I'm glad you're on this council.
Well, thank you for that sentiment.
All right, speaking of legalities, I've heard from every wannabe lawyer in the, I don't know how many counties. They all seem to have an agenda, but I shut off the comments on my mayor Facebook page, and the reason why was because it was really out of control. And I'm not going to provide a platform to the good folks of this community for that kind of filth and degradation. So, in consulting with my many attorneys, shutting off all the comments is completely legal. I can't pick and choose. We do have council members who do that, but we cannot pick and choose who we block or shut off. So I had to shut off everyone. So I want to apologize to this community for you not being able to interact or or participate on my mayor page. It was a lot of fun for quite a while, but until the hyper sensitivity of the situation clears the air, I think that we're just going to leave it that way for a while, because believe it or not, Facebook don't really mean that much to me. And I would much rather have a fishing pole in my hand or read a good book. In fact, I spent most of the weekend watching Yellowstone again. So anyway, I just wanted to explain that. It's not legal, or I mean, it's not illegal. I can guarantee you that I don't make any moves without consulting legal representation, because I am in a hypersensitive position, and I want to make sure that I'm doing the best job. So that's my council comments to end the speculation. Future agenda items. Anyone?
Mayor Reynolds, we do have a public speaker on this item.
On future agenda items? Okay.
Bill Spear.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council. Being a squeaky wheel again about the oak tree mitigation ordinance. It was an overreach for the personal freedoms of the property owners. It's also hazardous for people being able to manage their properties safely. And I know they say they're fixing it, but the easy way to fix it is just to repeal it. And if they want to come up with some other ordinance to have more oak trees in Oroville, let them bring it and get rid of this ordinance that has harmed people. People have had to pay money because they were managing their own property. We're in fire danger right now. I talked about this in the spring when everybody was doing fire clearance, and we're right in the middle of it. And the whole east all the way to the south is mostly oak trees. You see the widening they're doing on 162. Oak trees need to be cut down. Everybody loves oak trees. If you read the ordinance, the first page says about how good trees are and this and that, and trees are good, but what it says in the first paragraph doesn't, the ordinance isn't doing nothing to do with trees are good. Why ain't there a cottonwood ordinance? But anyways, my point is, let's just bring it back up. It's overreach. We've had staff admit that there was issues with it. It's a lot worse than any other place around, any other cities around. I do tree work in Chico. I do tree work in Paradise. Paradise used to be a lot worse. They're a lot more lenient now. Chainsaw cutting trees is tree conservation. If you're California, the reason we're in the issues we are right now is because of thinking that they're doing good, but it's not. The tree ordinances let everything get overgrown, made a big, giant, towering inferno. Paradise could have been not so bad if they would have let them cut trees. You don't clear cut everything, and that hasn't been done for a long time. Our urban forest is growing like crazy. Out in Thermalito, where there used to be no trees, you can go out there. I'm doing tree jobs where it used to be empty fields where the urban forest is growing, if people like it or not. But you need to let the property owners cut the trees as they see fit. You're trying to solve a problem that ain't a problem, making it a worse problem for all of us because our insurance goes up. And so just bring the ordinance that you have back in front of the council so you can up or down. If it's overreach, repeal it. If they want to do something.
Thank you. You know, I'm going to comment on that as well. Sorry, folks, but I have property, and a lot of it, a few, 5 or 6 acres of it is yard. I mean, that's our yard. And there are huge oak trees there. But we had a deal going on, property deal going on, I don't know, 15 years ago. My dad said, they're not touching that oak tree. And I said, well, that's right where they want to put, excuse me, the right-of-way. And he said, I don't want them touching that oak tree. And I said, all right, Dad, do you want that oak tree? And he said, yeah. And I said, let me know where you want it stacked. And he said, I knew it. And he walked off. Well, somebody that I love just as much as anybody in my whole life, you know, I could see the roadblock, if you will, literally the roadblock of what was going on. And so him and I were, we you know, but we love each other. There wasn't any, you know, but I could tell he felt strongly about it. And it could have killed that whole thing with the progress that we did with our business. But lo and behold, the next big storm that come up, that huge oak tree went right over. So I'm telling you, oak trees they're dangerous. A lot of them, now they say strong as an oak, but I'm telling you, the way they grow, the water goes down in the middle and rots them out. So I would be for experts coming and looking at, well, we had to have half of our tree removed last year because it just broke off and fell. And this oak tree is 5-6 feet in diameter, and half of it just broke off. Anyway, I'm in agreement with that. I think that when people buy property, they should be able to manage their property. So, Mr. Legrone, I would like to have discussion about putting that on future agenda item. Don't have to be on the next meeting, but it needs to be really soon because he's been asking for a while, and I've been wanting to address that, and well, I just keep forgetting. So, I apologize. It is important. Anyone else for future agenda items? Administration reports. Ms. Bergstrom.
Nothing new to report. Business as usual.
Chief Legrone.
It's hot.
Yes.
If anybody didn't notice, just want to remind the council that Thursday there is the chamber dinner. I believe it's at, Eric, if you could give us the detail on that, at Riffles. And so, but it's going to cool off by Thursday. So I've reserved 2 seats for everyone there. So it will be this Thursday. There was something else that I wanted to update you on, but unfortunately I've forgotten what that was.
Goodness.
So
And I don't know if this is a thing or not, but I'm telling you, Thursday night is like 3 different major events. Is there a universal calendar or something where people can look and there is? Just nobody looked. Okay.
It lives on visitoroville.com.
Okay. All right, 3 things, same night.
what are they?
I'm not gonna name them.
Okay.
No, there's some different clubs that are having barbecues.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I got you.
Yes. Councilmember Smith?
Just to speak to that, like for an example, on the 24th, the Salmon Festival, there are several major events going on. I think in Gridley, there's a truck show, and then there's a festival going on at a new park on the river. And in both those cases, they're out-of-town organizations. Large organizations are coming for whatever reason to Butte County to do events. So anyway, just FYI, I think as our community grows, that we're going to have more and more conflict with our calendars.
Mr. Mayor, what's going on is Cal OES is just issuing a notice to conserve energy to protect public health and safety due to the extreme heat that if we don't start, essentially what they're telling us is if we do not reduce our strain on the energy grid that there will be interruptions.
I thought that was to tell me to shut up.
That's, I thought your time was up.
Cal OES is not sending emergency alerts for that. Yet.
Okay. All right. Mr. Huber. Ms. Devers.
Yes, the community development staff will be embarking on a very intensive training and software building process in the next year to provide an InterGov software to the community in the building department, planning, and code enforcement. So it'll be an outward-facing portal so that contractors can apply for building permits online. They can schedule inspections online. They can review or submit code enforcement cases online. So it'll be a very community-friendly product, but again, it is a very intensive training process, and the building of the software will take approximately a year. In advance of that, we have implemented the Bluebeam plan review software so that we no longer have to take paper plans over the counter. We can accept them digitally. So.
Thank you. Ruth?
I have nothing.
All right, well, with that, we will adjourn the meeting until September 20th